The radar operator at the control tower sat up straight in his chair. His screen was calm a minute ago. Only green lines moving in circles. Now a single new blip appeared in the middle of restricted airspace. No code attached, no call sign, nothing. To identify it, at first the young operator thought it was a glitch. Maybe the storm outside was confusing the system. He tapped the side of the console, refreshed the screen, but the blip was still there, steady and moving fast, too fast for a civilian aircraft, too smooth for a training jet. And yet that is what it looked like, a small, old jet without modern identification signals, he reported. It to command, his voice shaking as he spoke into the headset. Unknown aircraft approaching Sector 5, altitude 20,000 and climbing, no response to radio calls, orders, sir. The commander on duty frowned, his hand tightening on the edge. Of the desk, standard protocol was clear. Scramble interceptors. 2 F-16s lifted off from the nearest base, their engines roaring into the stormy night, bright streaks of fire cutting into the sky as they climbed toward the unknown. The lead pilot, Captain Harris, had seen plenty of false alarms before. He chuckled. Over the radio, probably just a rookie flying some outdated trainer, maybe lost in the storm, nothing to worry about. Let's bring them down safe and call it a night. His wingman. Lieutenant Cole was less amused. He kept scanning his instruments. The speed reading was off the charts for a trainer jet. The turns were too sharp, the climb too steady. No way a rusty machine in old hands could do this. Something felt wrong, dangerously wrong. As they drew closer, lightning split the clouds. For a moment, the unknown aircraft was lit up, its frame sleek, sharp, almost predatory. Yet from a distance, it still looked like a trainer jet, small and narrow, an old ghost from another time. Harris shook his head. What kind of trainer moves like that? They opened radio contact again. This is Falcon Lead. Identify yourself. You are entering restricted airspace. Respond immediately. Silence answered them, only static on the channel. Cole tried again. No reply. The aircraft held its course, as if no one inside could hear them, or perhaps they simply refused to answer. The storm grew heavier. Rain lashed across the cockpit glass. But the unknown jet moved without struggle, almost as if the turbulence did not touch it. Harris pushed forward, closing the gap. I am going to take a closer look as the F-16 drifted near. Harris squinted through the flashes of light, searching for markings on the tail, any sign of who built this thing or where it came from. He saw only faded paint, a number that looked erased, almost scratched out, like someone wanted to remove all history of this machine. Cole kept pace on the other side, his breathing quick. He could not explain why his chest felt tight, why the hairs on his neck stood up. Something about this jet was wrong, not just unusual, but impossible. Like watching a shadow move in daylight, Command asked for updates. Harris keyed his radio. Still no identification, sir. Aircraft is silent, continuing pursuit, approaching visual. Range now. His last words broke off suddenly, because as he finally pulled level with the cockpit of the unknown aircraft, lightning flared again, revealing the pilot inside. Harris froze, his voice caught in his throat. His hand trembled on the control stick. His eyes locked on a face he knew he should never see again. A face he remembered from training manuals, from photographs pinned on memorial walls, from stories told in hushed voices about missions that went terribly wrong. The pilot was supposed to be dead. Cole heard only static for several seconds before. Harris finally spoke again, his voice hoarse. Command. I need confirmation on something. I know this pilot, but that is impossible. You told us he died 7 years ago. The report said his jet went down in hostile territory. No survivors, but he is right here, in front of me, alive. The control room fell into silence. The operator, who first saw the blip, stared at his screen, unable to move. The commander clenched his jaw, whispered words barely audible. No, that cannot be. His name was erased. His number deleted from all systems. That jet should not even exist. Cole looked again through his canopy. The pilot in the other cockpit turned his head slowly. Their eyes met for a second that felt like eternity. Cole's blood ran cold. The unknown man was calm, his gaze steady, his face unmistakable. This was no rookie in a training jet. This was a ghost returned from the grave. The F-16s held formation beside the impossible aircraft. Lightning continued to flicker across the sky. Thunder shook the clouds, but the real storm was in the hearts of the men watching a pilot who should not be alive. Harris whispered once more into the radio, "Command, what are your orders? Because we are flying beside the impossible." And the answer did not come. Only silence filled the channel as the ghost jet pressed deeper into restricted skies, and the escorts knew the night had just begun. The storm raged across the sky, clouds rolling like black waves. The F-16s kept their distance from the unknown jet, but the image of the pilot inside haunted them. Harris gripped his stick tighter, his mouth dry, his mind replaying every memorial he had ever stood before, every photograph he had saluted. And there, among the fallen, was this man, a pilot who was never supposed to return. Cole's voice cracked as he spoke. "Command, I saw him too. This is not possible. You told us he died. You told us the wreckage burned, no chance of survival. So who is flying that jet now?" Silence filled the channel again. Only static remained, like command itself could not answer. The unknown aircraft did not act hostile. It did not raise weapons. It did not challenge. Instead, it flew with purpose, cutting through the storm like a blade. Its tail number half erased, but just enough visible to chill the blood of anyone who knew. Cole leaned closer, whispering to himself, RX-17. That number was retired years ago, stricken from the books, erased from every log. The very number belonged to the squadron that disappeared during the Black Mountain operation. Flashbacks flooded Cole's mind. He remembered the stories whispered by older pilots. A secret mission 7 years ago. A flight deep into hostile territory. A mission with no witnesses and no official report. They called it Operation Echo Night. And the leader of that mission was the very man now flying in front of them. Call sign Spectre. The ace who vanished into the storm and never came back. Harris shivered as he realized the truth. This was not some trainee, not a rookie lost in the weather. This was a ghost of the Air Force itself, a man whose name was erased so no one would ever ask questions, a man abandoned by history, and yet here he was, flying again with unmatched control, as if no time had passed. The F-16s stayed close, their instruments warning of low visibility, but their eyes never left the cockpit of the unknown jet. The face inside was clear now, older, harder, scarred by years of survival, but still the same man who had once been praised as the best night fighter of his generation. Spectre, the pilot who flew without fear, the pilot who vanished without trace back in the control room. The commander spoke finally, his tone sharp. Negative identification, maintain visual but do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. This aircraft does not exist. Harris clenched his jaw. He wanted to argue, but deep inside he knew the truth. Command was terrified, because if Spectre was alive, then the lies of the past would unravel. The unknown jet dipped lower, lightning casting sharp outlines across. Its wings, Spectre's eyes remained focused ahead. He did not even glance at the F-16s anymore, as if he had accepted their presence, as if he was guiding them somewhere unseen. Cole whispered again. "He is not running. He is leading us. But leading us where?" The radio crackled suddenly, a faint voice cutting through the static. It was Spectre, his tone calm, steady, as if he had never left. "You should not follow me. Turn." Back now, Harris nearly dropped his mic, his heart pounding. "He is alive. He is speaking to us." Cole jumped in. "Spectre, is that really you? We thought you were gone." No answer, only a cold silence. Then the voice again, low and firm. "Some missions never end. Some debts can never be erased. I do not fly for them anymore. I fly for those who still need me." The words sank like stones into their hearts. What did he mean? Debts, missions, need. The storm thundered louder. and Spectre pulled the nose of his jet toward the mountains. Diving straight into heavier clouds, Harris cursed under his breath. If we let him go, we may never know the truth, but if we follow, we risk never coming back. Command barked again. Break off, return to base, repeat return to base immediately. But Harris and Cole did not answer. Their hands stayed firm on the controls, eyes fixed on the ghost ahead, curiosity and duty pulling them deeper. As they followed Spectre into the black wall of rain, memories returned of Operation Echo Night. How the news said the mission never happened. How families were told their sons and daughters never existed. How medals were forged quietly but never given. Cole realized now that maybe Spectre had been abandoned, left behind in a place no one dared to admit, and somehow he had clawed his way back. The unknown jet cut lower. Weaving through narrow valleys, its lights flickering against the rock faces, Harris struggled to keep pace. His instruments screamed warnings, but Spectre flew as if the storm obeyed him. Every turn smooth, every dive precise, his mastery untouched by the lost years. Cole whispered again, "Look at him. Look how steady he is. No hesitation, no fear, like he has done this 1,000 times in worse conditions." Harris nodded, voice low. "This is not training. This is survival. This is something only he could do. The F-16s fought to stay. With him. Rain streaking across their visors, thunder rolling, their hearts pounding with questions, but no answers came. Only the figure of the ghost pilot guiding them into darker skies. And as lightning split the heavens once more, Harris saw it. A glimpse of what lay ahead. Lights on the ground, vehicles trapped in rising floodwaters, a convoy stranded in the valley below. He gasped. Understanding struck him hard. Spectre was not running. He was not hiding. He was heading straight for them. For the people below, for a rescue no one else would dare attempt. And Harris knew then that the impossible had returned not to haunt the skies, but to save lives once more. The valley below was drowning under the storm. Rivers of mud washed across narrow roads. Rocks tumbled from cliffs. The convoy of medical trucks sat trapped in rising water, headlights flashing like small candles against the darkness. Each truck carried life-saving vaccines for children waiting in hospitals far away. But here in the storm, they were prisoners of the Mountain Spectre's jet dived lower, its engines roaring against the thunder. The old machine looked like a relic, yet it moved with strength and grace. His canopy glowed with green lights as he switched to manual guidance, his instruments tuned to faint distress beacons that ordinary planes could not hear. He had flown through war zones where radar was useless. He had learned to track signals with instinct, and now those same skills guided him to the convoy. Harris followed close behind. Fighting his controls, his F-16 shook with every gust of wind. Warning alarms filled his cockpit, but he refused to break off. His eyes locked on the ghost jet ahead. Cole struggled too, sweat dripping down his forehead, his heart racing. The storm felt alive, trying to crush them. Yet Spectre moved as if he belonged in this chaos from the ground. The convoy drivers looked up through their windshields, their radios dead, their GPS blank. They had lost hope of rescue. Then a shadow ripped across the clouds. A jet cutting through lightning like an arrow, its wings slicing open the storm. One driver whispered to his partner. "Did you see that?" Another muttered. No plane could fly in this weather. And yet the ghost circled above them, flashing its lights in steady patterns. Spectre tilted his jet, sweeping low over the valley, using his bright strobes to mark the path ahead. His engines pushed torrents of air that blew fallen branches aside. One truck engine roared back to life. The convoy leader understood the message. Follow the light. Follow the ghost. He honked his horn and began to move slowly forward, trusting the impossible guide above. Harris could hardly believe what he was seeing. His voice trembled over private channel to Cole. "He is showing them the way. He is not fighting us. He is saving them." Cole's jaw dropped. The jet angled again, dipping lower, clearing another stretch of blocked road with its sheer power. This was not combat. This was rescue. The F-16s orbited in silence, watching the Ghost at work, every maneuver so precise it felt rehearsed. Spectre dove, lifted, tilted, guiding the convoy like a shepherd guiding lost sheep. Rain hammered his canopy, but his focus never broke. He had done this before in lands torn by war, evacuating villages under fire, leading the helpless through impossible terrain. He knew what had to be done. Down below, the drivers cheered as the road slowly opened before them. One shouted, "Whoever that pilot is! He just saved our lives!" Another pressed his palms together, whispering a prayer. Children in the back of the trucks stirred weakly. Unaware that their survival now depended on a pilot who should not exist, a man erased from every official record. Harris whispered again, "This is insane. Nobody is going to believe this. And yet here we are, watching a dead pilot guide a convoy through a storm." Cole nodded slowly, voice heavy. "Maybe it does not matter if they believe. Maybe what matters is that those kids will live." As the convoy crawled forward, new danger appeared on Harris's radar, hostile signatures moving in fast from the east. He cursed. Drones, more than a dozen, advanced models programmed to sweep the storm. Their orders unknown, but their intent clear. They were hunting. Cole's eyes widened. If they spot the convoy, it's over. The drones will strike without mercy. Spectre's voice broke through the static again. "Calm and steady, I will lead them away." "You must not interfere," Harris shouted back. "You cannot take them all alone." But the Ghost ignored him. His jet banked hard, climbing straight into the path of the incoming swarm. His lights flickered once, as if saying farewell, then he disappeared into the boiling clouds. The F-16s hovered, torn between orders and instinct. Cole clenched his teeth. "Command told us to return, but if we leave him now, those drones will tear him apart." Harris gripped his controls. His mind screaming with conflict, they had no clearance to engage, yet every part of his soul told him to follow. Down in the valley, the convoy rolled slowly toward safety, unaware of the aerial battle about to begin. The drivers only saw the Ghost vanish into the storm, their guide gone. But the path he left behind was clear enough to follow. Headlights piercing rain, wheels grinding over mud, hearts pounding with fragile hope. Above them, the storm lit up with flashes not from lightning, but from weapons fire. Distant bursts swallowed quickly by thunder. The F-16s strained to keep up, their radars filled with noise, but through the chaos they caught glimpses. The Ghost jet weaving through the swarm, impossible turns, impossible dives, drones falling one by one into the clouds. Below, Cole gasped. "He is fighting them with nothing but skill," Harris muttered. "This is suicide. No one could last against that many." Yet Spectre did not falter. Every move honed from battles long forgotten. His Ghost jet danced with the storm, each strike taking down another hunter, each maneuver pulling the swarm away from the convoy. The F-16s pushed forward, hearts in their throats, knowing the Ghost was giving everything he had, knowing they might soon witness the end of a legend. The sky burned with flashes of light. Drones streaked through the storm like hungry predators, their red eyes glowing against the black clouds. Spectre's jet twisted among them, moving with impossible grace. His old machine should have been outmatched, yet every roll and dive carried the skill of a man who had cheated death before. Harris and Cole watched in awe, their F-16s shaking in the violent air, alarms screaming. They wanted to join the fight, but command's orders echoed in their ears. "Stand down, return to base. Do not engage. This aircraft does not exist. This pilot does not exist. The mission is not yours." And yet their hearts told them something different. Their hearts told them they were watching a man give his life to protect the helpless convoy below. Spectre cut through the storm, his jet flying so close to the mountains that sparks lit the rocks. Drones fired bursts of plasma, but he slipped. Away at the last second, one drone smashed into the cliff, another lost its wing in the turbulence and spiraled down. Cole clenched his fists on the stick, whispering, "He is buying them time. He is pulling them away." Harris replied with a heavy voice, "Yes, But how long can he last? The convoy continued forward under the shadow of the cliffs. Their headlights shining dim through sheets of rain, drivers looked up at the sky, hearing the distant thunder of battle. They did not know who was fighting for them. They only knew that without the ghost above, they would already be lost. Specter's voice crackled once more over the emergency channel, faint but firm. Stay with the convoy. Keep them safe. Leave the— Rest to me, Harris shouted into his mic. Specter, you cannot do this alone. Let us help. Silence followed. Then only the roar of engines and the scream of the storm. The drones regrouped, surrounding the ghost jet. Harris saw the radar spikes, more than 10 left, all locked on Specter. His stomach twisted. Command's voice came again, sharp and cold. Falcon lead. Falcon 2, disengage immediately. This is a direct order. Harris bit his lip, sweat dripping down his neck. His hands shook as he stared at the blip of the ghost. Cole's voice broke the silence. Harris, if we obey, he dies. If we disobey, we lose our careers. Maybe worse, Harris whispered back. Sometimes orders are wrong, sometimes doing nothing is the greater sin. They pushed their throttles forward. Diving into the storm toward the fight, alarms blared louder. Turbulence slammed their jets, but their minds were made up. They would not abandon the ghost Specter. Noticed their approach. His voice cut through once again. No, turn back. You do not understand. This mission is forbidden. Harris replied firmly. Then let us share the punishment, because we will not let you die alone. For a second there was silence. Then a low chuckle came through, soft but real. You two remind me of myself once. Stubborn, reckless, unwilling to leave a friend behind. Fine then. Stay on my wing. But remember, once you cross this line, there is no going back. The 3 jets carved through the storm, 1 ghost and 2 guardians. Drones swarmed around them. Like vultures, weapons firing, the sky lit with explosions. Harris rolled and fired. Cole swung wide and cut a drone from behind. The storm became their battlefield. Every second felt endless, every move a gamble. The ghost led them like a conductor of chaos, guiding them into maneuvers they had never practiced, yet somehow worked. On the ground, the convoy finally broke free of the valley, rolling onto clearer roads. The rain still poured, but the worst was behind them. The drivers cheered, unaware that above them 3 pilots were rewriting the story of their lives, risking everything so that 300 children would see the sun rise. Harris's jet shook violently. A drone clipped his tail with a burst. Alarms shrieked, but he steadied his hands, refusing to let go. Cole dove after 2 drones, his missiles. Locking on, he fired. The explosions rattled the mountains. Debris rained down into the storm. Specter himself looped around, his jet slicing into a tight corkscrew that baffled the enemy. Another drone shattered in fire. Another spun helplessly into the darkness. Still more came, relentless. Harris cried out, "There are too many! We cannot keep this up!" Specter's voice answered, calm as ever. "Then it is time to end it," Harris shouted back. "What do you mean?" Specter's reply was simple. Some missions end only one way. The ghost jet pulled high into the clouds, drawing the remaining swarm after him. Harris tried to follow, but turbulence slammed him back. Cole screamed, "Specter, no!" His radar showed the ghost climbing higher, faster. Every drone chasing like hounds after prey. Harris realized too late what was happening. Specter was leading them away, sacrificing himself so the convoy would remain untouched. Through the static came his final words. "Tell them, Specter never left." The signal broke. The radar blip climbed higher and higher, then vanished into the storm, leaving only silence. Harris and Cole stared at their screens, hearts sinking, their hands shaking. Command's voice demanded updates, but neither pilot spoke. They only circled above the convoy, their eyes on the empty sky, hoping against hope the ghost would return, but seeing only darkness. The storm finally began to ease as dawn crept over the horizon, pale light breaking through the clouds. The convoy reached the main road, engines rumbling steady, their headlights stretching far into the morning mist. Inside the trucks, the children breathed easier, some opening tired eyes, some clutching blankets. The drivers knew they had escaped death, though none of them could explain how. They only whispered to each other that a phantom in the sky had cleared the way, above them. Harris and Cole circled. Their hearts heavy, the radar showed no trace of the ghost jet, only empty air, only silence. Cole pressed his mic, calling again and again. "Spectre, respond. Please respond." But nothing came back. Harris shook his head slowly, his chest tight, his voice low. "He is gone. He gave everything to keep them safe, and now he is gone." Command broke through at last, demanding reports. "Where is the unknown aircraft? What happened to the hostile drones? Why are you still in restricted airspace?" But Harris did not answer. Cole did not answer. They both stared at the endless horizon, unwilling to betray the ghost who had trusted them, unwilling to reduce his sacrifice to words on a report. They escorted the convoy as far as the hospital gates, then returned to base, landing in silence. Ground crew rushed forward, waiting for explanations, but none came. Harris simply removed his helmet, placed it on the wing of his jet, and walked past them, his eyes hollow. Cole followed behind, whispering only 2 words. He stayed, and nothing more. News spread quickly, through quiet channels. Not official reports, but whispers, rumors. Stories passed from one pilot to another. A lost convoy had been saved during the worst storm in years. 300 children were alive because of a jet that should not exist, because of a pilot who was supposed to be dead. Some called it nonsense. Some laughed, but those who had seen the sky that night knew the truth. They knew Spectre had returned. In the weeks that followed, strange things began to happen. A small search team trapped in the mountains swore they saw flashing lights above them, guiding them to safety. Fishermen, lost in heavy fog, reported the sound of a jet engine just before the mist broke and led them back to shore.